Miss Supriya Sule.
Ma'am, this has been, no, this changed now.
Rajendra Agarwal, Virat.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. This week has been Nirmala ji's week, I think. She's been here almost every day with some bill or the other. And I must congratulate her because yesterday, while what Saugata Roy ji said was true, that she is combatively fighting circumstances. And I remember her saying yesterday or day before yesterday that she's been called named, she's been called the worst finance minister, and how deeply she is, and rightly so. I would be if I were in your place. But pilloried from her side. But what I feel is, I think I would like to say one thing to you, that you got the job in your challenging times. So this is not something that you have created. Challenging circumstances were there when you took this job. So I fully understand, and I see you making a genuine effort to make a difference to people's lives. So I do appreciate that clearly. But there are a few suggestions and questions I would like to ask you regarding this matter, which have already been come up, so I won't take too much time in it. But I clearly would like to seek little indulgence with a clarification from you regarding this IDBI bank. Now, I think Mehtabji also and Saugata Babu have already talked about it. But I just have a little caveat to add to it, that you're doing this, I'm sure your intent is very good. But eventually, if the insurance company is going to pay for this, who owns the insurance company? It's the common man. So it's from one pocket to the other. Then both those organizations may go down. So what is the thinking and the policy that this government is thinking to take this forward? I'm not sure this is the solution for the problems that we have, because it's the common people's money. And where is this money getting used? Is it for the social sector schemes? Where is it getting used that there's such a big gap or hole, I would like to say? Second thing about the Home Ministry. I appreciate the Ladakh MP talking this morning. He was really sounding deeply pained. And here there is so much money given. I feel that Jammu Kashmir deserves more than anybody else. It's not just like Mehtabji rightly said, it's not about one human being, but I think it's the Kashmir people who definitely need. So in this entire money that you've asked for, I think if you ask me personally, it's inadequate. They need a lot more. And I still remember the Honorable Home Minister had said over here that in the first 3 months, they would have a summit to make investments in Jammu and Kashmir. I don't see that happening. So what is the status of that entire situation? In this entire, there is one small caveat, since Gaurav Gogoi is here. I was actually taking some advice from him for this. There is this point about promoting industry and internal trade. And in that, there is transport freight subsidies being given to the Northeast. Now, if I remember right, when UPA was in power, these subsidies did exist. Then they were withdrawn, and now they are. It's a welcome step that you're doing it. But what was the logic of withdrawing them? What was the reason? Was it unemployment or crisis in the Northeast? That's why this has happened. So I think none of these decisions that come up with the economy should be political. I think it has to be fair. Whoever governs whichever state, I think everybody deserves good governance. Till elections, we have differences. Once we have done with our election, I think we all work for a common goal of building a good and a strong nation. So if she could kindly clarify this. Even the CRF, I mean, in Maharashtra, my own state, I feel CRF monies are just not coming. Now it's been moved from the Transport Ministry to you. So be it CAMPA, be it USFO, be it the cess, all these cesses, all these monies which the states used to get, we are doing. I would like to quote Shri Rajiv Pratap Rudy. He was complimenting about, I don't know the situation in his state, but my state is different and the smaller states are totally suffering. He, in his opening speech, talked about GST and the monies that are going and compensation that is going to the states. My state ain't getting any compensation. And from whatever little that I've read from the media, is that the GST collections have dropped. And in my own state, right, in today's newspapers, it's about a gap for all the states is 35,000 lakh crores. Now, my own state, which is a larger state, is over 10,000 crores. So now if my state can do it, I can imagine states like the Northeast where Gaurav Gogoi ji comes from, what are those states struggling? So I'm not sure if you could kindly clarify, because he's spoken from the Treasury, I'd like to ask for a clarification that is his state getting something we are not getting, or what is the situation of the GST code? state compensations. He talked about the IB code. Now, I'm sure the intent, we also supported that code. And we all thought if the system is going to get cleaned up, it's a welcome step. He complimented it. And he said so much money has come back. Well, we have lost more money in it. And this IB code, that was the whole idea of getting it, is for the stronger economies. I'm not sure ours is an economy ready for it. And the haircuts that are given, there are some haircuts. I'm not against. I do understand your intent is very good. But is this the direction? Because there are some haircuts which are up to 90% that we have given. He talked about NPAs. NPAs, he said, 6 lakh crores, I don't know where it's gone. It's up in the air. It's not up in the air. These are the haircuts given by the government to clean up. I understand that you are trying to clean up the whole system, but I think it's a little bit like Rambo. You're attacking everything. Everything is dying in that, and hence the fear psychosis is what one is hearing is coming from the people. I think the Rambo solution is not going to work. We'll have to do piece by piece, get solution, build confidence and clean up. We are completely supporting the cleaning up of the system. But is that hurting the economy? Something we all have to put our minds to it and see where it's going to take us. About FDIs, I mean, that was something really surprising this morning, because in the FDIs, today in a reply, it was that the FDIs are only going up. I'd like to quote from the reply this morning. The FDIs in 2015-16 were 55 US billion, in 16 was 60.22, in 17, these are provisional figures, which is only 60. So the growth is from 60 gone only to 60.97, and in 2018 again, which is provisional, is 62. So at one time it was from 55 to 60. So from 60 it actually should have gone to 66, and from 66 it should have gone to 73, but it's completely stagnating. And I come from a state where there used to be tall claims, but none of those claims are in this, because it's all provisional. Provisional, a lot can be said, but there is no action, no investments of great FDIs have come even to my state, which is one of the top performing developed states in this country. Another point I would like to bring to the Honorable Finance Minister's notice is, again from my state, is the biggest increase of poverty is a lot of states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, but even in my state it has gone up. These are all reports of today. And inflation. The inflation, rural inflation stood at 4.29 in October, which was September's 3.24. Urban food inflation. This is something I'd really like to highlight. I even spoke the last time in front of her. She's a woman who runs her house. Even if she's the finance minister, I do realize that most women who even work do know how the homes are run. And the food inflation in the urban has jumped to 10.47. Inflation in urban areas is 5.11 vis-a-vis 4.78. Rural food inflation, that was urban, was at 10.47. That's why प्याज का दाम कितना बढ़ा है सब कल चिल्ला रहे थे. Rural food inflation is 6.42 vis-a-vis 3.2. Vegetable inflation, sir, is 26% vis-a-vis 15. 26%. And even pulses is 11.74. आम आदमी खाएगा क्या? पहले ना नौकरी है, inflation इतना बढ़ा है, महंगाई इतनी बढ़ी है. So what interventions is this government going to do? Even the real consumption of expenditure dropped across the entire rural economies in the doldrums. I was actually expecting something more for agriculture in these things, but there's nothing substantial, unfortunately, for agriculture at all in this. The hunger index and poverty, both this data shows that India is not doing well in this. And I would like to ask, because there's like earlier, I think one of the speakers, I think Saugata Babu only talked about selling the family silver. This, just today in the morning, there was a lot of discussion about operating ratios. Now, to balance the economy, I agree with you, because I am modern thinking. I feel the economy should be open, vibrant. During even our government, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji was for liberalization. I'm not against any of these liberal programs or privatization. But at what cost? I still remember when this government came in, they talked about operational ratio, which even today the railway minister talked about it, and he gave a big explanation of why it is. They talked about Air India at one time saying, they're selling it. BSNL, 70,000 crores. First, it was a blue chip. Now they're saying, no, it needs 70,000. Now, same thing is happening to railways. My concern, which I've voiced before, and I reiterate, that does that mean even railways are going to privatize? And categorically was denied. But what about the operation ratios? Today we asked about it. So which way are we really headed are my serious concerns. Sir, I would ask her, the Honorable Minister, to clarify this. And one last very short points. Is just to clarify for my own self, because I remember the CDBT chairman in a press conference had talked about revenue collections, which you clarified saying the revenue collections are up. They have gone up now during Diwali, but you said the tax collection has gone up. But whatever we read in the media and what reports come to us do not show, and the CDBT chairman himself had said there's a shortfall of 2.3 lakh crores. And to quote earlier, I think Shashi Tharoorji quoted you, and I think there was a little discrepancy in what he said. I still remember you saying that you said there is a slowdown, but we are not in recession. I could be corrected if I'm misquoting you. So I do understand that a lot of things are happening. There is a slowdown, which I appreciate you admitting to it, but I think a lot of suggestions are happening. So if I would urge you to do this, last two small questions is, there was a cabinet committee which was made after the two cabinet committees within the 2 weeks of the Prime Minister taking oath in 2019. One was on unemployment and one was on economy. What is the status, what is the output of the outcome of those two committees? Because I don't hear about it, see about it. And so I really don't know what the status is. I do understand all these things, but all the demands of grants are slightly disappointing. I would just like to make a small suggestion and finish my speech, sir. You've been very indulgent with time. Is that there are two books I would request this government to have a look at. One is to put on the reading list of the government. One is by the Nobel laureate, who just got a Nobel Prize in 2017, Richard Thaler. It's called The Nudge. I think this economy doesn't need a nudge, it needs a push. But let's start with a nudge and then get a push. And one is by Abhijit Banerjee, the son of the soil, who just got the award, is Economics of Hard Times. So I think if we get some ideas through this and take some feedback from all the members, I'm sure we are committed to supporting and improving the economy, because even if we are in the opposition, we don't want our country to suffer at the cost of our differences. So if there's anything more we can do to help, suggest, recommend, we'd be happy to help the finance minister in whatever we can. We do support these grants, but we're little disappointed that it really didn't do justice for people who really needed the push. Thank you.
Thank you.